And we're back. And yes, Rumble is down. I went ahead and shut it off. I fired it up a different way, going up through the studio, and it was just not working. So, we're here on YouTube, on X, D Live, maybe Kick, 3NA. Thank you for the coffee. As the stream was just starting up, Judgment War, man, in the house. Yeah, it is crazy busy. I gotta say, time's flying by, and if you're constantly on the grind, just trying to get prepared and stay on top of things, then yeah, it's crazy busy, high pace, high energy, and that's just the way that it is. I want to thank everybody out there that shares the stream. Thank you, S Bird. Thank you, Kev Bar. All those that get it out there in front of eyes that I can't reach. It's appreciated to the fullest. Much love, D White. Thank you for all the feedback out there in the chat as well. Much love, Hoodie Ross. I don't know if I'm gonna have to go back and listen, but you guys may have heard Hoodie's voice right there at the very beginning. It's if we got another one. That was like it came through kind of perfect, but that was not planned. That was a clip off a new song we're working on. That was the latest burn I had lined up before this, and trying to get that polished up. It's pretty much done, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the release just yet. Yeah, plenty going on here. Shut down a couple things. Make sure we're running good over here. All right, just excellent. Yes, you have the full strawberry moon rising tonight. If you guys have clear skies, which if you're in the Midwest, you probably should. I know around here it's been clear blue skies, very hot. And it's going to continue to be hot. And if you got a clear sky, though, you'll see this moon rising. And yeah, if you guys get any good shots, make sure to let me know. Email me, dabu7@yahoo.com. Love to see the images you guys got. If you guys want me to share something, I'll start the stream off with an image like this. I always start off with some kind of cool or beautiful image that I could find or upload to the backdrop here. And it could be yours up there on one of these streams if you got nice shots. dabu7@yahoo.com. All right, taking it up to space, where things are really hot when it comes to the sun, or is it? You know, a lot of things with space debatable, but when it comes to the sun, man, it just seems like there's some certain factors about it that stand out to me. Thank you, J Bear, for the coffee. Much love. The sun, I have caught a lot of crazy stuff going on with. I've got the videos on my channels. This crazy stuff. Like years and years and years ago, I originally caught this massive object feeding off the sun. And as the years have gone by, it's come back, and I've caught it again and again, several times. Other people have caught it now, here in more recent years. And it's crazy when something like that gets picked up, and you're like, hold on, what are they talking about? What I found years ago, there's no way it's back, again. Well, like something seems to keep coming up to our sun and almost feeding off of it. Like it's a gas station. And if it's that hot, how could anything ever get that close to it? I think our sun operates off something like cold fusion. Matter of fact, I can guarantee you it does. For one, if you stop and you think about it, every time this thing spits out something from a sunspot, I mean, it's not a flame like out of your lighter or out of your fireplace. It's not. It's not even what they call fire, it's called plasma. This energy. So, even though, like, the best way that I can describe this is like with our atmosphere on the planet, like, even if it's freezing out, you go and you can sit out in a car, it's sun shining, and it can start to warm up inside that car from that energy because you're inside that bubble, so to speak. Same thing with the planet. If not, we'd be getting lit on fire every single time the sun was spitting something out. Would we not? We would. If it was fire, we'd be getting lit on fire. Everything would. Everything would be getting torched when it's spitting out flames like a dragon all over the place. But that's not what's happening. So when we stop and we take a look at what's happening, it's not that. It's not everything is catching on fire like that, especially the planet, taking direct hits. Sweet Polly Pure Blood. Hey, thank you for the super chat. It's appreciated, Sweet Polly. Anyhow, I think of these things, and it just makes more sense on how something could be feeding off the sun. It's pure like energy source. In this plasma thing, keep this in mind here. Hold on a second. I think I got another one. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, it's right behind it. Right on cue. This, China, has revealed a breakthrough in fusion tech. And I've been wondering, who's gonna start dropping this out there in the world, because there's so many high technologies at play right now, and they have been for a long time, that at some point they gotta let them loose, so to speak. I feel the world after 2030 is going to be a whole different world. And if you want to participate in this world and everything, all the high technology and crazy stuff going along with it, you're going to basically have to bow down to the beast. So I don't look to be able to engage in this realm myself if I'm alive and breathing, because I'm not going onto that beast system like that. I think these things are going to be dangled like a carrot on a stick in front of people. Like, oh, don't you want to come and fly in the brand new UAP by Ford that has the brand new anti-gravitics applied to it technology, where you can get to go to these all around the world, see everywhere in one day, like kind of crazy stuff. So many people would just jump on board. I keep saying, like, the pure blood thing was one test to see who would fall for that, but there's going to be many more. It's not going to stop. So China reveals this fusion tech, and they're saying that one of their artificial suns has achieved what? What does it say here? Its first plasma discharge. I just was speaking of these exact same things. And what comes out of a sunspot? A plasma discharge. It sure does. So this privately ran Chinese fusion company, Energy Singularity, has built the world's first fully high temperature superconducting tokamak. And this is used to produce plasma, not fire. So the creation of this device that is dubbed HH70 is It's located in Shanghai. It is seen as a major step here in the development of fusion technology to potentially generate clean energy. And for sure they can. We already know the whole Tesla tech and all this. If you combine that, tapping into the ether and pulling energy out of it. There was a device here recently that I showed you that is out on the market, and it makes water out of the air. It separates the ions out of the air and makes that clean water out of the air. That was an awesome device. Well, with this, it reminds me kind of like of CERN as well, spinning the atoms around, smashing them together. Well, in this, what they're doing is they're splitting hydrogen atoms, which are fused together to become helium, and then releasing, in that process, it releases a vast quantity of energy. And in the process, it also creates this magnetic field around it that helps to contain the particles within the plasma. And that is very interesting because if you talk about some kind of vehicle that you could create, it would ride on the waves of energy off magnetic fields and all this other stuff. If you could create a bubble around an object to do that, that's exactly what they're saying that they've done here. Then it could float simply with anti-gravitics, which we know that they have. It's like breadcrumb by breadcrumb. They're dropping this stuff out there. This is what is fueling. This, I'm telling you, is what is fueling some of these aircraft out here and propelling them. Because the information that we've taken in over the years on how these things operate has shown us that they can use things like mercury and other things, that liquid metals that they can sling and throw in certain directions to make these things move. This is pretty crazy because if you capitalize on this technology full scale, you can create massive energy hubs. They basically are high temperature superconductors, and you can run these off of things like barium and copper oxide, or barium copper oxide, which is a rare earth element. But it can be mined and used just like anything else. And these could be big power generation stations. JT, thank you for the coffees. Hey, I appreciate that to the fullest. But I wanted to put this out there because this is kind of like sliding out there a big jump in how things work. When you apply this, like, they're never going to roll this out to the masses right now. It's just, to me, I foresee like a new world being rolled out after some cataclysm, after some downfall of the United States, the dollar, all this other stuff, unfortunately. Again, thank you for those coffees. That's appreciated to the fullest. Much love, JT. This next one talks about how the United States could take a page out of Australia's natural gas playbook. In a lot of different articles and people leaning and hinting toward, well, what if Trump does get in? What if they do give you Trump? And I've said before, they could very well bring the house down on him, on his watch. Because, it's all set up like they hate him so bad, right? So, if they do this, this is going to change how things are running. Now, let's not forget that Joe Biden has depleted our reserves big time in this country, like to critical levels, like emergency levels. They've depleted it. Now, Trump can come in and try to do some things, but he can only do so much in 4 years. But one thing he can do is, in the sector, they're saying, like, he can switch things up and basically say that there's no restraints on the natural gas production here in the United States. And also, he could lift restraints on coal. This is why they were calling it Trump's coal country. Which to me, I'm like, this isn't his coal country. It's our coal country. Because the whole eastern half of Kentucky is a coal field, one massive, huge coal field, dude. And then ain't nobody else's but ours. And dudes down here will fight to the end for it. Ain't nobody coming up in here taking it. And what they try to do is they try to shut down these coal mines around here, but ours, they stayed open and basically thumbed the nose at the federal government and said, "I don't think so. You basically wanted us to die." And my state caught on to it, thank God, and told them, "No, look, if we didn't do what we did, people would have died. Now what's your response?" And the government basically had to shut their mouth. The federal government had to shut their mouth at that point because the only thing else that could have come out of their mouth was like, "Well, you people were supposed to die." Like, nah, ain't happening. If Trump gets in and changes things up, natural gas and coal could shift. Then maybe people would understand why places like BlackRock have been swooping in, buying up property all across the place that have these natural resources on them. I've been saying it the whole time. Like, why are they doing this? Because I've caught them doing it over and over, and all these little chunks of land. When you go on these little property hunt things, and you go looking, like there's several different ones out there. It tells the name of the owner of the property, and you're just skimming through, looking, and then you see, boom, BlackRock. Oh, it's this big chunk. BlackRock bought this, but it's like, what? Like here, and you back out and you look at where it's at, and it's like, oh my gosh, they're going through strategically doing this. So why would they? If coal and natural gas isn't worth anything, I'm like, I don't think so. It is. You already know it is. And this has been a big ruse to try to wrestle it, a lot of this out of the hands of the American people. And you're wise if you kept it. If you're fighting to keep what you got, and you ain't selling off anything that has coal and natural gas. That's a God-given gift in natural resource, and they can't stand the fact that that's the case because it allows you independence from the government. It allows you to break away from them. I've said it many times. There's a gasifier. It's a machine out there that burns coal. It burns wood and all these things off the grid, and it produces a thick gas out of a tube that you run into your generator, and it will fuel it just like gas. It sure will. They are very real. You can build them. There's instructions out there, manuals. I've looked into all kinds of different types. I'm not so sure about the restrictions in different places where they sell them and the hoops you're going to have to jump through. I know the best way to probably do it is to get the manual and build one, construct one. But it is a lifesaver. They can get expensive from what I've seen online, like $15,000. But you got to think this is a power generation station on your property that you can just be pitching coal into like it's a train, wood chunks off the ground, all these combustibles. They will all burn in there and give you energy. Keep the lights on. Keep the mini splits going. Heating and air. And all this. This is... If you want to set your family up for survival into the future, you better be thinking this way. Or you're just slacking. Or you're not planning. I mean, this is where it's at. If you're trying to escape the beast system and you really want to survive, then you need to get to a place where you can do so. And natural resources is big. Natural resources... You can't go wrong with it. And with the gasifier, you don't never have to leave the mountain or the property or whatever acreage you got. If you got your cattle there, you're tucked away. You got all your solar. You're catching all your rainwater, or you got a well, or both. Okay, you're in business then. You got your animals running around in a secluded area, not next to a main road where everyone can go by and see it. So you're off the beaten path, you're out of sight, out of mind, and you're in a place like this where you really don't never have to leave the mountain. That's what you should be planning for. The property, whatever it is, the property. I just foresee, I think long term, I foresee if you're in any flat area here in this country in a war setting, which is what I'm foreseeing and trying to survive through in this, in looking forward, in any flat area that can pick you off way easier than the mountains. This is a known fact. This is why if I lived in any flat area, I would have, and a lot of the cats that I know that are in places like Oklahoma, Nebraska, they've got safe haven places to run to, either west into the mountains or into the Ozarks, into the mountains, the same thing, because it's the mountains. That's where our military could not defeat the Taliban in Afghanistan because of the mountains. They could not defeat Vietnam because of the same thing, the mountains and the jungles. So you got to take that into consideration. And one of our biggest enemies here in the future is going to be drones that are going over top of us, treating us just like they did other countries. Drone striking, killing people, calling you an extremist to the rest of the people watching on TV, so they're not going to care. They're brainwashed. Oh, they were an extremist. It didn't matter. Oh, no, they were your fellow Americans getting smoked by a drone right here. Oh, yeah, it's going to happen. Apache helicopters, any of that? Yeah. Apaches can see for hundreds of miles, and they can see your heat signature, and they can zoom in on the screen. It's crazy. And you never hear them. You can't hear them. You can't see them. In a flat, they're that far out. They can see you, and they can kill you. That's why they're so badass and so feared. If they get unleashed here, how are you going to hide from that? You better start thinking like this, dude. This place is going down. The enemy's in here, man, by the millions. Any day now, this is going down. In the meantime, this place keeps falling apart. I keep thinking, every time I say that, I think of the infrastructure bill that was passed like years ago, that was like billions, and like, it didn't pay to fix anything. Bridges still falling apart, everything's falling apart. Now, we come to find out that Boeing, I've reported on one of the last streams, they let the cat out of the bag that they have been building aircraft with crappy material, with not the right material. They basically admitted that the metal that was bought and signed off on to build all these aircraft was fraudulent. It was fake. It wasn't all real. And now they're finding pinholes in all these different parts of the planes. And these are the newer planes, the newer ones. And you're seeing all these issues. So it's getting scary. Now we have another one. A Boeing 737 makes an emergency landing after another engine fire because of the exact same thing. Gonna play a clip. Watch your ears. Was the plane made of 3D printed material? I don't know. Maybe 3D printed material will be better than whatever they're using. But that's crazy. Imagine looking out your window and seeing that. It's just madness. Marley checking in, 5 coffees. Thank you, much love. 15 minutes after takeoff. Just getting going. They probably just got up to altitude to pan out, and they're like, all right, you can unbuckle now. And if you gotta go move around the plane, you can. And then you look out the window and you're like, hold up. Hold up. Am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? Your worst Nightmare. Yeah, I don't fly anymore neither. And it's the stories like this every single stream that show you something. I'm not going to get caught on one of these. Be thinking the whole time, like, you idiot. Like, you knew better. Like, last things I'm thinking before I'm dying, going down on one of these planes. Like, I don't think so. I'll drive. Or I'll get a different aircraft that I trust and I'll fly it myself. Straight up. I've actually flown a Cessna before. They got double sets of controls. You can never go wrong with that. Two sets of controls in case something happens to the other pilot. But yeah, that's the route to go, if you ask me. I've said it before. And if you are traveling throughout this summer, it doesn't look like it's going to be as bad as we feared because it's an election year. Remember when the stickers were out of Biden pointing, to the gas pump prices, like I did that and all that. That was a hot thing, funny thing. Well, you're not going to see it this time around, they say, because it's one of the few things he has left, or they have left, to try to pull back on, to not tick people off. They expect a record amount of people to be traveling this 4th of July, but price is going to remain stable until at least after Labor Day. So at least around then, we'll see. I've heard that, they're trying to keep it pulled back because of the whole election thing, but we'll see what happens here. Anyway, in the short term, it shouldn't be going through the roof, which is good for anyone looking to travel and get out there. But it looks to be packed. Hot temperatures, a lot of people on the road. Let's hope they don't pull off something crazy. Seems it's on the table. And look at this. The United States drops out of global competitiveness, out of the top 10 tier for the first time ever. This is how bad we're hit. This is how bad we're hit. The United States dropping out of competitiveness, out of the top 10, first time ever. We just dropped out the bottom, just completely. We nosedive since 2010, just dropped at the top. Singapore at the top, Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum, Switzerland, sliding into second, followed by Denmark, Ireland, Hong Kong, Sweden, UAE, Taiwan, Netherlands, and Norway currently. That's how bad the United States is in free fall. They're bringing it down. Continuing jobless claims keeps rising. We talked about the Biden administration lying about the jobs and the numbers, and gaslighting the people, coming out with their stupid speaker. What is her name? Pierre, whatever, I don't know. They just do nothing but lie anymore. And it's because they can legally. They've passed it by law, put it on the books that they can get away with using propaganda on the American people, especially if it's to save the integrity of the country for whatever crap they put in there. It's all lies. It's garbage. And they continue to do it. But people have lost their jobs left and right. They've lost the farm. They've lost the mom and pop shops, the everything you could think of. All I can think of to do is just to fight back is to fire up new ones, man, new ways. People still need things. Maybe the old business wasn't working or something, but we need to think of new ways to keep afloat here. I mean, some things are always going to need like a human involved, like fixing a car and things like that, it seems. At least here, still within all of our lifetimes. I do not foresee, even within the next 30 years, all over the place, where you can just drive into a shop and like it's all automated and it's just going to know what's wrong with your car and pop the hood, be able to fix every single thing on it all by itself. Maybe they could create something like that, but is it going to be everywhere for everyone to use now? Jobs, man, humans are getting snuffed out. That's a pretty crazy feeling. We're getting kind of snuffed out here by tech. But I mean, there's you can only go so far with this, man. Like, Elon fully wanting to merge man and machine. Really can't be doing this, man. Mixing iron and clay, going against God's creation, meddling with all this, as if what he created was not good enough. Um, as Elon puts it, like, if we want to evolve in that's the route that we have to go, and I disagree. Um, I believe there's a lot more room left in humans to unlock the potential of the brain power of what we can do here in a positive form and all types of things in terms of telekinesis, all these crazy things that we know is true. Um, he doesn't want to speak nothing of that. You could do all these things without putting a chip in someone's brain. He doesn't want to talk about that. He doesn't even want to venture expanding down those paths, um, because it all goes against what he's doing. He pushes the idea that for humans to be able to advance into the future, you're going to have to merge with machine. I mean, that's just what he thinks and how he sees it. And he's not alone. He's brainwashed all these fools around him, just like all these billionaires do. They all get these little followings of nut huggers, hang around, just sucking up to him, brown nosing the whole way. And I don't know. All part of the satanic cult. Well, this machine is revving at an all-time high, I will tell you that. And last time I checked, man, you better be ready for this thing to go off the cliff when you're riding this high. Okay? U.S. stocks at an all-time high. I keep repeating myself every stream, and it's not because I want to, but it's because history is doing this. And Jenna, thank you for the coffee. It dropped trees across roads during the apocalypse. Yeah, a lot more than that. Need to have an apocalyptic stream on how to survive it. But we're at an all-time high here in the stock market. Gold, Bitcoin, all these things that were on a tear. Actually, I see the day that, let me check the price on gold. Gold pulled back. Oh, it's still 320. It's still up there hanging. And silver at 29.54, right below the 30. Even if precious metals, I had a good friend reach out to me for some advice here the past day or so about the 401ks, as I was explaining to you guys on the last stream, and gold and all that. And the way I see it is, if gold was to pull back like significantly, any big pullbacks, that's your window to enter, because this is going to continue upwards. It's never ever just going to come back to like 2000 or 1500 or anything like that. Never ever. Maybe on like the day the whole market dumps, it may spike, dip down, dump that low. But again, that can be a good thing, just as it was last time when everyone went into lockdowns. Bitcoin dropped down to like $3,000-$4,000. Anyone that was buying those dips made out like a bandit. Right now, they're making out like a bandit. If you're smart, if you bought Bitcoin at $4,000 a pop, let's just say, you know what I'm saying? You bought 25 of them, and now they're worth $70,000. My gosh. You've got $1.7 million on your hands off that one move. But you would have to do it now. You can't continue to hold. If there's any rookies out there, if you're green and you're in this game and you're seeing this, None of these stocks continue to go forever. None of them. Nothing does. Nothing ever does. It always pulls back. There's always pullbacks. There's dump offs. And if you don't watch it, you can get left holding the bag, so to speak, which means the stock will dump off to lower than what you bought in. And all of a sudden, you're missing out on money. Yeah, and metals have been controlled by J.P. Morgan Chase and Company in this rigged market for a long time. As soon as the U.S. dollar gets torn down, gold and silver will skyrocket, and they will find their footing in the new basket of currencies. That's right, new basket of currencies. I'm a strong believer in this notion because look, I go with my gut and like what I see as the Spirit bringing these visions to me and showing me everything they've ever shown me. And when I look at the current situation, and I've played this out so many times, even after I've said it, I've played it out again and again and again. The best way to get what they want right now is through a crisis. And the crisis is to basically cyber attack the banks, freeze the money where you can't get it, where even if there was a run on the banks, you can't get it. Everything's froze up. This is the one way you can turn around and tell everybody, it's okay though. We prepared for this moment. Every one of your banks has a wallet, and we're going to send whatever's in your account, how much you got in your account, we're going to send in CBDC form. And you can spend this wherever. And this is going to be the big move, and you'll remember this. It has to happen something like this. It has to. It has to. EMP doesn't solve this. It doesn't give you the same result. You're looking for a way to bait all the people into accepting this easily in a crisis. And this is the best way. And when you do it, all the markets tank. And this is why I keep telling you, if I had a 401k, I'd sell it. That's also what I told my buddy. I'd sell it now. Right now, if I had one. I wouldn't think twice about it. I'd exit right now off this tip, and I'd rest easy at night. I'd be thanking God. And I was asked, if I do that, do I just go get into metals? And maybe not immediately. This is one of them things when something like gold could still take off and run. I foresee gold going between 20 and 30,000, which means it hasn't even exploded yet. Which means at that point, if you're holding it for that till then, which could happen at any time, especially if the dollar comes down, dude, it's like astronomical. It doesn't matter where you get in down here. Then you just get in. You just get in and hold it. You're holding it for that long. If you're doing short-term stuff, you're going to want to make a more calculated entry on a pullback, which is the name of the game. Buy the dip, sell the tip. Say it all the time. Right now, we're at a tip, and I'm telling you that if I was in the game, from everything that I've learned throughout all these years, living through these cycles, and I'll tell you this, when I first got in the game, I thought things just kept going up forever. Don't be that person. Because you don't. You'll find out the hard way when it dumps out. I'm telling you. And the next move is going to be more than a dump out, I feel. It's going to be the great taking. The great taking is what I call it. It's going to be equivalent to the Great Depression. They took everyone's everything. Everyone's everything. And that's what they're going to do here. The 401k, they know all you guys got that money locked up in there. And they're going to take it. They took a chunk of it this past time. I was talking to my buddy. He was like, yeah. And that last time I lost 10 grand in that. Just that one wallop hit him. Lost a 10 grand chunk. I know others that said they've lost upwards of $100,000 in that hit. That's big. That's a huge. And if they freeze everything up, and they say, look, we'll give you this stuff in CBDC, you're still not going to be able to sell anything because they put stops on it, just like they did GMC in the market the other day. Pay attention, because all your 401ks are directly tied to the stock market. And if something like Roaring Kitty can come up in here and just pump and dump the stock market like it's crypto realm, dude, you better watch out. It almost feels like they're letting him in here to do this on purpose. I'm telling you, because they already said it. They said there's so much money pent up in the top three, that if anyone was to come down, much less all three of them at the same time, the whole market will come down with it. You talk about a rug pull. In an easy one, when you've got it all pent up in just a few spots. It's a lot easier to control and manipulate and to do all the damage. They can just put stops and freezes on just these three tickers on the market and no one could sell. But you're going to watch it just keep dropping and dropping and dropping. So how's that? That means somebody's selling. How can someone be selling when everything's frozen? Because it's rigged. And that will be the great taking. People will be punching their computer screens, smashing their phones, going buck over this. And you can do nothing but sit there and watch it tank. It's the same thing that's happened in crypto over and over and over again. I guess I had to live through that and all for a reason for it to all mean something right now in this moment. I've watched it so many times. So many people left holding the bag, losing everything. Everything. And when your 401k is tied to this, I'm telling you, it's game over. I've warned you a million times. So now Thailand joining China and driving the bull market up even more. They're all doing it. Again, I tell you, there's certain stories I just keep repeating because it's a constant. It's a constant. This is the same. More is gobbling the gold up like nothing else on the planet. Dollars don't mean nothing. Oil don't mean diamonds. Don't mean nothing. None of it. Gold is all they care about. Not dollars. Gold. Behind gold is the rest of the precious metals. They call them that for a reason. Because they've got these properties, man. They've got precious properties. That's why they're called this. Not just because they're used in jewelry, but because of their conductive principles, magnetic principles, all types. What they can do to your body if you eat it in nano form. Colloidal silver and gold helps to get other things into the bloodstream, oxygen, things like that. It's all real. Okay, another amazing thing is copper. The Egyptians knew to run your water through copper. It's why we continue to practice today. Why? Because it has an antibacterial property. It kills the bacteria as it's moving through it. How is that? Well, it is, and it does. Without having to do anything like run an electric charge through it or anything. No. It's the God-given principle of it. You know, this is why even if you're building something and you're running PEX or something like that, water line, throughout a house and this and that, you always still want to run everything through at least a copper manifold where it all forks out from. You want to pass it through copper at some point because of this fact that it has this effect on cleansing your water. Um, Anyhow, copper continuing to climb. I think Doug said the other day in the chat that a penny is now worth 3 cents. Close to it. Shout outs to Doug. Uncommon news in the chat. I don't think you're gonna see him out there tonight. You may, but they're heading now toward, I believe, a fire, Riadosa or something area down there. Never heard of it. It's an odd name. I couldn't find anything on the fire. Of course, local stuff that's popping off, you're not going to hear on a national level all the time. But he's down there in the El Paso area near the border. So any of you guys that follow Uncommon, shout outs to him for getting out there and covering stuff. And a much love to all you guys that support him too. Gas money and stuff like that. And he's doing all that riding around down there, getting coverage and trying to cover the stuff. So much love to Doug, Uncommon out there. And take us on to the next one. This brings me to a topic that I covered in a video today, where for the past few days, there have been cyber attacks launched on car dealerships here in this country. Everything frozen. And this is big time because they can't sell cars. They can't sell anything in their inventory, and it's holding them hostage. This is absolutely huge. 15,000 dealerships brought to a standstill. Okay, so this is the third day. They say everything is frozen. They're absolutely crippled. They were hoping they get back up, but they can't. Again, every person that you know out there may be some out there that are not on this network, but there's good chances if you know someone that sells a car or is in the industry, you call them up and you ask them about this. They know if they've heard about this. If they're not directly affected, they know and they've heard about this without a doubt. There's no way they haven't. When 15,000 dealerships nationwide are being held hostage right now, dude. This is crazy. This is crazy. They have attacked everywhere. The only thing that they haven't full-scale attacked is the banking sector. Large scale, to hold it hostage. I'm telling you. They've attacked the water supply, electrical places, hospitals. They sure have. But not the banks themselves. Maybe some have dealt with it, but not large scale. This is pretty big. 15,000 different dealerships. Imagine if that was 15,000 banks. Imagine if that was 15,000 banks. Bet you that would get people's attention. Some people look at this stuff like, oh, often that's not exciting enough for me. Like, what? Like, dude, some people are blind to what's happening. And I can't say who this is behind it, but I know who it benefits. And as an investigator, that's all you really need to know most of the time. It doesn't really benefit anyone more than our own government that's participating in bringing this place down. It's written. It's part of the plan. They're pulling it. This place has been laced with explosives. They're pulling it. I want to point out something real quick. If you look at this small image on the screen, it says Taiwan is learning from Ukraine to prepare for attack. Remember this. I mean, I haven't even got to the warfront stuff. I'm about to get to the big story off the headline there, the Russian sub being tracked. And then I just touched on the cyber attacks. But I wanted to point this out because Dude, this is being telegraphed out there major. This is being seeded into the minds of the masses. I mean, right there, prepare for the attack. As far as I can tell, but the United States is putting Japan on a currency manipulation watch list, which is kind of crazy because the last time that there was any kind of talk like this, Japan was talking about striking up some kind of deal with China with currency to trade with them in their own currencies and not the US dollar. And right when they had a big meeting to do that, they got rocked by an earthquake in 2011. I mean, right as they were having the meeting to do it. So when I see this title, it makes me think of that. It reminds me of that moment. Man, all the way back in 2011. I've been doing this for a long time, dude. Like, time is flying by, too, and you can't slow it down. Like the rabbit out of Alice in Wonderland. I swear, everywhere I go, like I'm late, like running. Looking at the clock. That's me throughout the day. I'm always glancing at my phone. And more times than not, it says 111, 222, 333. I do it all the time. And my wife is a witness. And anyone around me is a witness that sees it when they're with me during the day. I just do it. I pick it up as 1111. And it's never a trying thing. It's not worth anything if you're doing that. It's always just, it's a connection to the other side. It's the other side. It's an affirmation telling me that I'm on the right path and to keep on going. And people break it down, all this crazy stuff. But 111 means this, 222, 3. Now, I don't, you can go that far with it, but I see it all as just keep on trucking, soldier. You're on there, keep on trucking, soldier. Keep on trucking, soldier. Yeah, this is how I see them all. Same thing, just keep it pushing. Baby, on the mission. Yeah. Gary, much love, my brother. He says, yep, in there. Yeah, much love, my brother. Man, I'm in a crazy time still in my life. I know a lot of people are out there. We got to keep it pushing, though. I want to mention here real quick, though, the story out of NJ Amtrak issues delay. They're blaming this on power cables, and a lot of people take these trains, and they're saying that it keeps happening. They're not sure what's going on here, but they're saying it's already sparked travel nightmares during rush hour. This could be something we see more of. They're blaming it all on overhead wire issues. So that's what they're saying right now. For all we know, there could be some kind of freaking hack attacks, and they're lying about it. All right, the FBI raids Oakland, California mayor's house. And this, what they're saying, is tied into the IRS and the United States Postal Service, saying that this is some kind of criminal investigation into public corruption. So it's a public corruption case opened up against this woman, Thao, and her boyfriend for whatever they've been doing. They're on them. FBI, the feds, whatever they've been doing, they're on them. Whenever they're walking out of your house with the computers and boxes full of stuff and all that, they've got you. They've been watching, listening, whatever criminal activity they've been doing. Some of these people think when they get in these positions, they can pull off certain things, do certain stuff, and get away with it. But dude, the Fed's watching everywhere. NSA's listening to everything. They don't think that the phone, we say this and have been saying this for years, they don't think that the phone that is just sitting over on the other side of the room is listening to them for real. When it is. When it is. Every one of them. All the iPhones, everything. Just like Alexa, sitting there listening. and they listen to everything. You just how they bust so many people. They don't need to come in and tap your house. They've got the device that sits right next to you tapped. It had a back door into it since Jump Street. And if not, they'll just run an update and they'll get it in there. Mm-hmm. Come on now. This is like low-level stuff that you should have done been knowing. To me, like, if you're doing anything scandalous, or not even scandalous, I mean, these days you could be fighting against the beast and having to make moves and do things. And you don't want them to track you and try to target you and to get you hemmed up on anything. You better watch what you're saying, where you're saying it, in the company of, the way I see it, a real secure type of meeting and talk about important stuff should be done when everyone like leaves their phones and all that at the door. Throw it in a refrigerator, it's sealed or something. Everybody stick them in there because they're listening. And so many people have been busted this way by them just simply listening to their conversations. Sitting there pillow talking at night. Cell phone sitting on the table next to the bed and everything. They're sitting there listening to everything. Sitting there listening to everything. Everything goes on. It's crazy. Let's never forget that, man. With technology is nothing one massive spying device that allows them in. And they've got ways into everything. And through frequency and just energy, they can see things. Remember, just by using Wi-Fi, they can tap into a building's Wi-Fi structure. And they can see who is inside the building. Did people forget this? They can see everybody that's in the building. If you got a bird, a cat, a dog, their heartbeat, they could do it all through the Wi-Fi, man. People are so quick to fall back asleep and not realize how high of a technical age we are in. That is keeping so many things from you and using what's out here to their advantage. It's sick. Anyhow, on to California in Gavin Newsom's Oakland, where it got turned into a war zone. There's two clips here. I'm gonna play the second one. It shows them just all storming an AutoZone and robbing it.
Oh wow, they got the door open. Damn. I ain't got nothing to say, really. What can I say? But if they thought it was gonna be hot, well, it is gonna be hot now.
So there you go. The mob rolling up and just hitting the AutoZone for whatever they get out of it. They said $11,000 worth of goods stolen, 50 looters, only one arrested. T-Rex says it's like Subway all along the East Coast. What, with the Amtrak? Well, I've got another one here. This is out of California too, and this is kind of like people feel different ways about this. Of course, people feel all kinds of ways about different stuff, but we say all the time, what about the homeless? What about the homeless? There needs to be something done for the homeless. I'm not talking illegal invaders coming in here. I'm talking our veterans and everyday Americans that are homeless on the streets, that have lost jobs and all this stuff. Like, they need and deserve help, and we should help them first and foremost before anything. All this money that gets sent to Ukraine and all these other places, it should go there. But in this instance, as I'm showing you, they say they have a brand new high-rise building in LA, and this is for the homeless, and that the units are $600,000 a piece. There's 278 units in this shelter for the homeless. It is the Weingart Tower. It's intended to help people currently without shelter on Skid Row, and it will be LA's largest permanent support housing project. It will have an entire floor of offices for caseworkers. In addition, a list of impressive amenities: a gym, an art room, a music room, a computer room, a library. Residents will enjoy 6 common balconies and a cafe. It's considered affordable housing, but the cost to build this adds up $600,000. And that is being funded, here's the thing though, by the taxpayers. Not like by the government that's got the money to just print off more money at the machine. Now, they always put it on us, all this stuff, regardless, to foot the bill. But this is a $165 million project. That's how much money is going into this. And some people are like, hold on, like, can I go? Can I go stay there? That's way better than what I've got. Or it could come close to, and this and that. Like, I want to go live there. You're telling me I just got to tell them I'm poor? And this and that. So, I don't know. There's, like I said, all types of different feels on this. But I will say this. It's one of two things. You either care about the homeless truly, or you don't. But there are extremes to things. And to me, the taxpayer shouldn't get stuck with the bill on everything, dude. By far. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you, Hoddle. I feel you on all that. And the U.S. has banned Kaspersky antivirus software because of Russia. Of course, and Russia's influence in it. If you didn't know. And TikTok bans women's rights ads for being offensive. This is crazy. Just another reason that I dislike TikTok. Let's put it that way. About to jump on TikTok, though, under Surviving in Times, and just pump out my information. So many other people steal it and put it on over there anyway. But it's still, I don't know. You're tracked and traced with everything. I told you before. But I'm not letting the CCP track me like that. No way. So, if America was to buy her, they're going to force to sell and all that. I can't sit here and say that I can feel comfortable using a site like that, knowing the CCP is tracking all of it and all this and that. So it's already sick enough that my government and all of its alphabet gangs are tracking me on all the other ones. But I don't need the communist Chinese that had no problem killing their own people. Had no problem exterminating millions of their own people and taking the guns from them. What would they do to me? If they lined their people up in front of ditches and just did them. What would they do to me? Or you? dude, you better sharpen your swords. Because the same young guns that would pull that gun up and put a bullet in the back of their own people's head and drop them into a ditch out of China are here. And they surely won't think twice about us if they do it to their own people. Extermination. In the end, it's crazy to think that we've got this much information. The enemy's right here, and nobody doing nothing. When the day begins, and this great American war begins, it's gonna be nasty. It's gonna be guerrilla warfare. And see, right now, people aren't tracking them, trying to track them down in their facilities and where they're staying and all this other stuff. But by golly, as soon as this goes to full-blown war, they will. But it's going to be too late. When you've got millions of these guys here spread out strategically, dude, we've been sold out. We're done. Our own kind did this to us. And how are you going to have time to go hunt them down and make them pay for treason when you've got these guys coming out of the shadows all over the place? I ain't even got to that, but here's one for you real quick. Toxins from the Ohio train derailment in East Palestine. They are admitting for the first time brand new data, so to speak, or more or less data that they've been sitting on, reveals just how far those toxins spread. They touched and went into, not saying it blanketed all these regions, but it went into 16 of those states after they burned 116,000 gallons of vinyl chloride. That's what did it, all in all. Okay? Researchers from the National Atmospheric Deposition Program, which has about 260 different sites across the United States that collect rain, snow, and all that, they analyzed the data and they were shocked by the results. These were some of the highest, if not the highest, that they had seen in the past 12 years that he'd been doing this. That fire in itself touched a lot of points in the Midwest and the Northeast. And we're all breathing that same air. But it rained down in all these different regions. It touched, in addition to Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, Virginia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Maine, because the plume, by nature of how it all works, it goes that way. It got blew that way. The wind was blowing that way that day. Jet stream cuts up through that way. All the weather, for the most part, here moves from the west to the east. The wind with it blowing, and everybody downwind from this got blanketed. Anyone that ignored East Palestine that was in the path of this, y'all got blanketed. Everybody did by this stuff. Through the rain, all that. It got dumped. It's why you got to pay attention to things like this that happen downwind, downstream. Because they don't care. That's why we do these things and do these alerts we put out and everything else. And and have through all these years to try to warn people this is coming your way. But yeah, man, update there on East Palestine. And if you don't know, your U.S. government, your politicians that have just introduced recent legislation on males to have to be registered into the select services, into the military at 18, they are saying they are adding women to the draft. And this has absolutely ticked off a ton of people, which some of these things are designed to do just that and only just that. But many feel that this isn't going to go through. It's going to fall out on the floor or in conference. But they have the nerve to do just that, to try to say that women are going to be drafted to go into the meat grinder. And people are like, no way. I put a video out on this as well. We'll play a clip here real quick.
Unbelievable. You won't believe the news I just got. Look at my face. This is the high cost of war. And I just found out that Jackie Rosen voted this week to make signing up for the draft mandatory for our daughters. You'll be hearing more from me on this, but this is an unbelievable and unacceptable way for our senators to be voting right now.
Yeah, so that's just showing you right there. It is. They're trying to come after everybody. And you wait till I get to this stuff on Ukraine here in a little bit. I already told you before, the people that had dual citizenship, they're like Ukraine, U.S. citizenship. If you get caught in Ukraine, they can keep you. They can keep you and send you to the front lines. Dude, it's just genocide at the highest levels that we've seen at this current moment in time. I'm going to get more into that here in just a second. But first, one of the bigger stories here on the home front is that the United States has Russia creeping off the East Coast. And that our U.S. Navy, I reported on this here this past week. When this flotilla came through, it had multiple warships from Russia along with a submarine capable of carrying nuclear weapons. Cuba tried to make an official statement saying that none of them were armed, but no one's taking any chances. And I showed you how we had Poseidons, and even Canada sent down one of their aircraft that tracked stuff. They were doing circles out in the ocean, tracking something off the coast of the United States, off the Florida coast. You can see right here. And they're admitting at this point that after sitting there for a few days and I guess going through meetings in Cuba, some of these ships have left. And Colleen, thank you for the coffees. Thank you for the prayers as well. Thank you so much for all the support all the time. But you can see this where it says Hex, and it's got this number here. This is tracking our military aircraft and the other aircraft. Sometimes there's just little, what will be listed as you think are just Cessna, but they're not. They're the feds, they're the government, they're military. And you only know this because they're out here participating in this whole operation, encircling all these areas and flying on out and then going deep out into the ocean, tracking something. So now they are admitting that the warships or the battleships that were Russia's have left Cuba, and they suspect that they're going to go down and dock in Venezuela next. So they're going to be kind of in the vicinity still. The sub decided to take a completely different route. It decided to creep back up past the Bahamas, off the coast of the United States, right on the edge of international waters. and start creeping up the East Coast again. Which, as long as it's in international waters, it can do these things. But our military, they're on it. They know it's there. They're watching it. They're tracking it. And to me, it's just Russia kind of flexing, saying, "Hey, right here, and we can get this close to you." Well, check this out. Let's go to another front here. Boats are being sunk left and right. Our U.S. military is not the almighty that it once was. We cannot protect these areas or the shipping lanes that we used to be able to protect. So when you can't keep other militaries at bay and check them, they start showing up on your doorstep. This is where we are at. We're not invincible. We're actually set up to fail and fall here. So I'd be expecting some incoming events. So in the meantime, ships are being sunk. And if you guys don't know, we spent billions fighting what they call the Houthis, and basically we've lost. We've lost on all fronts. Ships continue to get sunk. Tankers are getting hit every week now. Now, not only is it stifling shipping, this is going to cause the cost of everything that you get that comes from around the globe to go through the roof. Look at this. The next one says that the escalating Red Sea attacks drive up the vessel insurance costs. So now that's going up, and that will be passed on to the consumer as well with everything. Anything you can think of that comes on these ships, which is everything. All the produce that you get worldwide goes through these shipping lanes and through these key points. And they cannot control them no more. It's crazy. So Japan militarily is our ally by default, and they're forced to be, and they always will be, because of just kind of how the end of World War II worked out by default. The agreements they signed and all this other stuff. They're lucky they can even do certain military things. But because North Korea has been popping off missiles over there toward them in their direction, the United States has allowed them to advance further than they were even allowed to in their treaty after World War II, Japan, to be able to protect themselves. If, they can't just sit there and have North Korea popping off missiles over their country left and right and have no defense and nothing to shoot back with. So, Japan is falling on the side of the United States in this. Yeah, Rumble's not working. I'm not live there. And look at this. China fires up sanctions as well over Taiwan. This is going to get worse. Sanctions, tariffs. Even Trump was doing it. It all started big time with China. And China. And tariffs. It started on his watch in terms of that with this game. With the tariff game. But this is different. You can't keep doing this tit for tat down this. It's not going to be good. It's already at a bad level. They say that this is going to cause also inflation to go through the roof, even if Trump gets in. All the stuff stacking up, it's almost like, I'm telling you, they're going to let him in just to bring it down on him. Ukraine strikes Russia and 2 oil depots. Then they turn around with these drones, and this is the new way to attack, apparently. They're sending in massive swarms of drones. And the thinking is, okay, we get through at least a percentage of them, they'll hit the target. Bunch may get taken out, but at least a couple. Oh, so they said 100 drones were launched and hit. 100. Is what they're saying. Russia's response is that they intercepted 120 Ukrainian drones overnight. Either way, some are getting through, they're doing damage. And dude, we are striking Russia in their mainland. Dude, this is not good. We just sent F-16s in there. We're openly using American weapons. We are fair game here. They've done said it. The United States is fair game in any other country supplying weapons. So Putin goes on to say that he predicts that the West is going to replace Zelensky at some point over the failures. Replace him on the stage. We'll see. Putin has said this whole time he would never do any kind of deal with Zelensky. It's all a puppet show, as far as I'm concerned. It's all about killing these people, everyday people on the front line in the meat grinder. Look at this. Look at this. Kiev is talking to the EU about extraditing Ukrainian citizens, meaning that if a Ukrainian citizen is in Germany, France, the UK, and they're trying to hide out, or, they don't want to get caught up in this. They don't even want to go back to Ukraine ever again. They stay in this other country and live there, because if they catch you, they're going to send you to get basically killed. Well, now Kiev is trying to talk the EU into extraditing these people back home. You catch them in the streets there, catch them anywhere, send them back. It's like a death sentence, dude. For any young men, it's insane. So Russia says they will never withdraw troops. In terms of a precondition to negotiate, they're never going to back out, never going to back down, and they're never going to give up the regions in which they've overtaken. Luhansk, Donetsk, all these areas. Crimea, they're never going to give them up. They are now part of Russia. So the United States is pausing their Patriot missile shipments around the world to any other country, and they're redirecting all of them to Ukraine. Okay, sorry, Dave. You get my point, though. Dude, when you make a move like this, what is Russia to do? Like, we're doing so much that, they could easily say that if they struck us in any way, shape, or form, that it was because of this, there, or this. Okay, Uncommon going live soon, covering the New Mexico wildfires. That's what it was. Thank you, Crown Jewels. And I did mention that earlier, so that you know. I was trying to let folks know. Uncommon News going live to cover it again. Show him some love and support down there, covering the fires there locally. Putin goes ahead and issues this ominous nuclear triad expansion warning, basically saying that they've got this triad of nuclear capability that will protect them no matter what, and they will go all the way in using it before Russia falls. And that they're upgrading these nuclear systems also at the same time. And that they may not use strategic nuclear weapons, but they will use non-strategic nuclear weapons, which they just had huge drills doing. They had massive drills in deploying non-strategic nuclear weapons, which means the mini nukes, suitcase nukes, tactical nukes, things like that won't blow back a mushroom cloud in their face. They have to use those. They're basically on the border of their own country. You can't sit there and use huge nukes right there. You're basically nuking yourself. So they have to be tactical. And they're saying that. And they're ready to use them. They're ready to start using them in mass. You know, they could wipe out Kiev, whatever you want to call it. They could just hit it. Nail it. Give off a small mushroom cloud. For sure. Somewhere is going to get it. Somewhere is going to get it. Unless they just want to straight flat out nuke Moscow and the Kremlin, everything in there. That would be the only other thing. Unless you can take down and take out Moscow, how are you going to take out Russia anyway? But think about it. You take out Moscow in Russia, you pretty much chopped off the head of the snake there. The Germans were closing in on Moscow in World War II before we dropped big bombs on Japan and then basically joined forces with Russia at the end. It ended the war. Pretty crazy how that all happened and ended. And then Russia and the United States go back into their corners and act like they're enemies. And the whole world's fell for it still all the way to this current day. This is a puppet show. Even though people really die out here in these wars in the meat grinder. But it's all staged and played out. Scripted, controlled by the same banksters on both sides because they control the central banks in all of them. So Trump says that the main cause of war in Ukraine is because of NATO and all this talk about adding Ukraine into NATO and all this. That's his 2 cents on all of it. Whether it's true or not. We do have a U.S. Army soldier that has been arrested, if anyone cares, in Russia. I kind of feel like this guy will be brought up more and more from here, especially as things escalate. But it is another American citizen that's in Russian custody, and he's been handed a pretty stiff prison sentence here by a Russian court. They say that it has nothing to do with espionage or anything like that. It's not a political matter. But this active duty Army soldier, we have active duty Army soldier, Staff Sergeant Gordon Black, has been sentenced to 4 years in prison on a conviction for theft. And he pled guilty to stealing. And this is all petty as crap. He went to Russia, and they say that he went there without permission to meet this girl, his girlfriend. And that he took 10,000 rubles from her, which is basically like $112. And that's what they're getting him for. Yeah. And thank you, Jeff P., for that. This guy was stationed at Camp Humphreys in South Korea. This is how he was able to pull it off. He traveled through China and into Russia to get to her and see her. And I guess they got in a little fight. He snatched up a little bit of money and left. And they were like, they got him. And now they're holding him. So, I don't know if you guys remember years back, I forget what place it was, Indonesia. One of those places, they had an American that got caught like keying cars or doing something stupid there. And they caned him. Publicly caned him and like whipped him with the cane and all this. It was crazy. It was a big old publicity thing on it, but it reminds me of that. So I told you how China's been rolling up on Filipino soldiers in vessels, and they're like checking them. They're like rolling up and getting into fights with them and chopping people's fingers off, and like they're getting into pretty bad skirmishes. Like it's getting heated. Like they're in physical contact. Like shots and stuff like aren't being fired like in these videos, but dude, they're getting in like physical confrontations. And I think it's crazy though that they're not talking in their native languages out here. They are talking in English. When the Chinese are yelling at the Philippines, the Filipino dudes, to stop and all this at the end. I'm going to play this clip. I may have to replay the clip at the end, the last couple seconds, you catch it there. But this dude that's right here hanging off the boat, it's even in the screenshot, right there with an axe pointing it toward these guys. He's like, "You stop." They're saying it in American. That's how ironic is that? In English. He yells, "Don't move! Don't move!" I mean, clear, clean English. These are Chinese soldiers rolling up on Philippine dudes. And, yeah, man. It shows you how tense things are there. And if you guys don't know, NATO has a brand new chief. It is Mark Rutte. He replaces Jens Stoltenberg. So their new chief at the top there that never gets mentioned about nothing, but it's always calling these shots about the stuff going on. All this being ran on Jesuit command. And looky what we have here. The other big beast front, the UN, coming out saying that a new war is coming. And you got to pay attention when they say these things because they're telling you what's about to happen. They're not saying maybe, if, or this and that. Not a question of if, but when. So this is a dire warning. And this is connected to Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. They are warning that this whole thing is about to take a turn. And it's going to spill into Lebanon. And if it does, then everything, the genocide, everything that you've seen going down thus far is going to spread that way. And Israel pops off shots at Syria all the time. One of these days, Damascus is going to get leveled. Who would do that? Who? Who is already raining down missiles just for no freaking reason on any given day, just because they want to? Israel. Them and only them. Only them. No one else is that pissed off at Syria and doing it outside of the United States, but they're one and the same there. So I'm telling you, when Israel gets cornered, man, they're just going to start volleying off these shots, and that could be how Damascus comes down, dude. Israel intent on launching an incursion into Lebanon. This is coming from Blinken, warning this. So it's about to happen. This whole thing's about to take a shift. An escalation. It's going to spread out even further. So, and look at what they're saying here. Can India and BRICS become the world's new security blanket? Like, that's what the United States is supposed to have been this whole time. So, dude, they're talking about fully replacing us, the whole nine. It's all set up right here. The only thing that has to happen is we just got to start falling. Like, the quicker, the better, I'm sure they would say. So if they start to do things to accelerate that, that's going to help their agenda. What's the next one say? The border invasion. Hordes of people coming across, piling in, coming across the border. Millions. Just, it's sickening, man. It's the same thing. It just does not stop. It's like a boat taking on water. Continues to sink. It's a setup. And it's because of guys like this right here. This Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, dropped all charges against nearly all the protesters at Columbia. All of these protesters that have gone and caused chaos. More so, they burnt down stuff, caused more damage than what you even seen on J6. They even went into political houses and overtook them the same way. And no charges filed against none of them. And you got, oh my gosh, man. This is such a setup. And they're letting their minions walk free while anyone that gets caught in their honey trap, they're throwing away the key on them, sending them into prison for like 20 years. All the J6ers and all that. But all their guys, no, Alvin Bragg just cuts them loose. Just cuts them loose. That's how corrupt the system is. Steve Bannon tries to go in and appeal, getting thrown in jail for 4 months because they just sentenced him to this. They shut him down. They're like, no, you're gone. So he's going to go right before Trump's sentencing. He'll already be in there, warming up the cell for him, I guess. And he's already predicting they're going to try to stick Trump in a prison cell for 1 or 2 years. Is what he's saying. And then maybe the rest of the time on ankle, whatever, even if he's sitting president. This is fitting to get crazy. And that's just how they like it. Trump's got a lot of backing and support, no doubt. The whole thing designed this way. The billionaire Winklevoss twins have endorsed him now. They donated $2 million in Bitcoin to Trump's campaign, and they back him fully. This next one says that a Buffett-owned agency is warning that there's going to be a recession if Trump gets in. Now, it's coming from like the side that hates him, and they can collapse this whole thing on him. All Buffett's got to do is dump all of his holdings in the stock market. Sell off. Leave you all holding the bag. And do it on Trump's watch, which I think they're about to do. It all seems right for that. Yeah, July 11th is coming up fast. So I don't know, man. Recession, this thing could fly into the Greater Depression if they bring it down. And he's going to say it's not. And look, if Powell and them do whatever they want. It doesn't matter even right now what Biden says. The Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell and them, they do what they want. The president does not control them, can't change what they're doing with inflation and the rates. Nope. They make their own calls. This whole thing's rigged and manipulated by them. They make their own calls. And even if Trump gets in there, they could drive it even higher. It's so rigged. So support for Biden among women is now the lowest for any Democrat since 2004. So the dude in the mask, the bottom is falling out of this thing. Yeah, man, and here we are. Next month, things really gonna heat up. We're right there. And apparently, they're back to relabeling Trump supporters as terror threats. This newly released internal document says that DHS, Brennan, and all these fools are saying that because of everything that's happening, that the Trumpers are a bigger threat now than they've ever been. This is what they're saying in these memos. Yeah, so, man, this is not good. These new documents also revealing that the government is encouraging people to snitch on their neighbors to the feds. You know, not a surprise here, but this is what they're coming out and doing. And they've also exposed here how Biden's State Department has officially admitted that this great replacement theory is real. They admit they are deliberately bringing in these criminals. And that this whole thing is being done on purpose. Project Veritas, busting them, doing another major operation, catching them on camera, admitting. I'd play it, but I'm on YouTube, and they've got a channel here, and I'm sure algorithm would catch it and ding me. But they got him. They got him busted again, admitting what they're doing. So, you know, they're targeting people now. Man, all hands on deck. Better have your head on a swivel. We're like going into a crazy window. We're in it. Who am I kidding? We are in it. Yeah, man. In the coming weeks now, I can say that we are approaching a time where Trump is going to be sentenced. The man running for president that basically was former president and has the backing of majority of this country is going to be sentenced here within the coming weeks, or he's going to get served it. And if they say, dude, you're going to jail, like, are you guys ready for this? Can't you see that this is everything that they've been building up for this moment, all these years, all of this is a build up to this exact moment. What other way the ultimate way could they prod the people and try to get them ticked off? I mean, the people patiently waited out this whole thing, knowing that it was a sham last time when they gave you Joe Biden, when you came out of the woodwork for Trump. People are going to do it again, and now they know it's going to be even more enormous. So, what if, say, they don't give you Biden, but they do give you your Trump? He wins in the polls, but what? He has to serve from a jail cell. Now remember, Donald Trump has Secret Service protection. How? And he will have this for the rest of his days. And they vowed to protect him for the rest of his days, no matter what. So, how do you do that if you stick Donald Trump in a federal penitentiary? How do you do it? The Secret Service get to camp out outside of a cell? Do they override any guards that are there around the clock? What's the predictions here? Let's see them in the chat. I want to see this start flying. Let's see them start to fly as we wrap up the stream here. We'll finish up with this. Everyone's predictions here on what they think is about to happen. Read some off, and I'll give my thoughts here too as well. As we're winding this one down, I think he's going to get hit with time. He's going to go in and he's going to serve time. A short amount of time that will be transferred over to house arrest or something of that nature. And the rest of it will be spent that way. Potentially the rest of his presidency. That he writes out on a house arrest type thing where he could never leave the White House. I don't know. There's so many other things. That's kind of where I see it going. Never going to happen, James Morgan says. Well, I guess we'll find out. If you were talking to me. Bias loves his house arrest. They clear a small cell block out for him and the Secret Service. Fire to Flame, Crown Jewel says new songs about the replacement. Yes. House arrest at Mar-a-Lago. So a lot of people are going with house arrest. What makes you think that they're going to just give him... These people are going to give it to him so easy. I don't think so. I don't. Kev Bar, thank you for the 5 coffees. Go in here and blow up your comment here so I can see it. I don't. I don't. Maybe they do, and you're right. But I think that they go harder than that. I think they're trying to get people pissed off. I think they want to put in. They want you to see the image. They want the history books. They want everyone to get pissed off about seeing Donald Trump sitting in a cell. That's how I feel. You don't get that with initial house arrest. Michael B. from NJ coming through as well with the coffees, man. Thank you for the support. Like Trump or not, this is pure political hardball. The demonic party is doing exactly as they tell us Putin would do. Much love and blessings, y'all. Thank you, Kev Barr, for the comment and the support as always. Again, thank you, Michael B. from NJ. Let me look over here. Wait, I think so too. All scripted chaos, no doubt about it. I'm reading from the chat, YouTube chat. Everything's a stage. Kind of like the Alex Jones case, literally a stage. Yeah, the world's a stage. And a lot of the stuff is scripted and played out to the script. That way they can control it. They know what's going to happen and where they're taking it. You see, it's why it's done that way. Who'll be given jail time only to have the Supreme Court overrule it? Mike George, good comment. Very well could, right there. Very well could just get the house arrest. Very well could get some hard time and see a year. You know, he could have years. White House arrest. That just seems kind of like where it's at. You know, so no, we ain't banking on no Big Mike. Yeah, a lot of this it's all corruption and corrupted. We've seen it from Jump Street. None of it's legit. So, like, what are people going to do about it? You know? What are people going to do about it? Like, some people sit out there and just bump their gums. They don't do much. I mean, they could be out doing more. I mean, like, you know, they're keyboard warriors, so to speak. But they're not really out. Like, they could be going live spreading the word, but they don't. They could be going out to these big events spreading the word, but they don't. Or holding some kind of big event, but they don't. At least trying something. We got to do something. I mean, that's the reason that I have my events, my conferences, is to at least we got to try something. I'm from the gutter, though. I don't have the money to do nothing, but I still try. I still pull together great people for the cause to try to get them together to do something. And I've gone to these big events, or what's been projected to be big events before: million-man marches, million mask marches, Operation Democratic Springs, all these things where all these people are supposed to show up time and time again in D.C., and they don't. And what I took home from all that is that you don't need to focus on that, on the big trip to D.C. initially. You need to focus on that government in your own state, your state capital. You can get to that. There's no excuse. You can have an impact there. You can talk to your fellow people about joining you and going down one weekend, maybe talking to a senator or a politician or a representative about issues. You can do that. And it starts there. And I feel you'll have better luck there. You'll make better connections. You'll get more done. You'll find out more either way if you go that route. So I suggest people try that and go the route of trying to take it to your state capital. First and foremost. That's where it's at right now. And if you can win that battle, well then that says a lot. You advance from there. It's power of the people. Always. Much love for me. Much love to everybody out there. I want to thank everyone that joins me on these streams, man. Brings us to a close here on another one. Take us out of here on some music, give some shout outs. I look to be back on Monday. And look, everyone that can hear my voice, please do me a favor. If you're wondering if I've dropped anything on any given day, check my channels. Because I'm always active. You guys know I'm going live 3 times a week. I'm dropping YouTube videos. I look to fire up a new regiment here soon. But all I know to do is tell you to check my channels, my X page and my YouTube channels, because you're not going to get a notification for everything that I'm putting out. You're just not. If you come and you check the channel, you're going to see and find out almost daily, like others do, that, he did post something. You'll miss it if not. Anyhow, Dabu7 at yahoo.com. Do got new music that's done, pretty much. Got to figure out when we're going to drop it here. Me, Hoodie Ross, Fight a Flame. Got a brand new one. Always working on something. Fire's always cooking up something as well, so we'll take us out of here on some underground session, and I'll look to be back here Monday night, guys, for another one, God willing. Thank you, Dave. Thank you all for the love, for the prayers, for the shares, for the cares, for all the donations, coffees, all that. Appreciate it more than you know. Much love, E-Fits. Prayers, blessings, right back at you. And I ask the Most High in heaven to help E-Fits. Anyone else out there who calls upon him. Eon, relentless. I can't thank you enough, man. Thank you. Always coming through strong. 7 coffees. Much love. Chafin Bill. Gary. All the mods, all the crew, all the pure bloods. Much love.